what President Trump doesn't seem to understand is that crime is something normal in Chicago. It's a tradition. We're all criminals here. I'm a criminal. This Wakanda guy is a criminal. This bitch with the white hair, she's black and she lives in Chicago, so she's probably a criminal. Just let us live peacefully in our crime-ridden shithole. Okay, we don't want you here. Thank you. What?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. As someone said, I'm not late. Sometimes time is early. Who said that? Someone said that. I was like, I like that. That's the way it works. Sometimes time is just early on me, okay? I'm not late. Time is early. I hope you all had a phenomenal day today. I personally had an excellent day. We are in the middle of our Jewish holiday. These are the intermediary days when we're allowed to do work, which is why I'm here, as opposed to the beginning days and the end days, which I'm prohibited from doing work, so I don't work on those days. So, but the intermediary days are like family time, very family-oriented outings type of thing. It wasn't like that back in the Heim. Okay, it wasn't like it almost certainly was not like that. But for American Jews, that's definitely what it's evolved into. But since before I was even born, so it's been a tradition. And today was a family outing, which I'll probably end up telling you at some point, only because my family was laughing hilariously at what a boomer I am. But I'll probably share that with you later. But first and foremost, what's more important than my war stories about my day playing laser tag in the forest today is that I'm joined here today by the famous, nay, infamous Jim Tells You. Welcome back, my friend. How are you? Yes. We don't hear a word. We don't hear a word.
I had my thing muted because I was typing and I didn't want to interrupt, because I've been told that when I type it's very loud.
It is very loud. It is very loud.
But it wouldn't be a Joe stream if somebody didn't boom or something.
Yes, I guess that's.
So I did it for you.
I guess I appreciate you falling on your sword for me like that. Most people wouldn't do that. Most people, they'd just be like, no, let Joe boomer himself. But he's like, no, I'm going to out boomer Joe.
I'm here for you, Joe.
Next, I was invited to join on this channel. I want to get your thoughts, and I'll get thoughts from the audience also. This channel, which I was surprised how many subs they have. They have like 200,000 subs or something like that, to engage in debates with the left. This channel called Modern Debates. I don't know if you heard of this channel.
I've never heard of it.
I never heard of it either, but they have a couple 100,000 subs on both X, I think on X also, and on YouTube. And they're asking me to debate a couple of lefties, and they've set up all these different dates that they want me. And one date that they gave me, they want me to go next week. I really wanted to do the one that they're having on Tuesday. That Alex Stein is supposed to be on that one. Unfortunately, that is during the Jewish holiday, which I'm not going to be doing that. But then they want me to do next Thursday. And I was like, okay, first and foremost, how can I do that to Jim? Because, Thursday is gym night. Like, what? Because they want to start at 9 o'clock and for me to roll for 2 hours. And my question, I guess I should ask you and my audience.
Go do it. Don't pass up
on
an
opportunity. Are you sure?
I'm positive, Joe. I'm not going to be upset. Joe, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to stream with me.
No. I feel indebted. I feel
no. You've helped me out more than anyone else.
But still, but I'm wondering if my audience would you rather me? Because if I stream it at 9 o'clock and I'm debating for 2 hours, I don't think I'm going to be up for doing a show after. I think that's going to sort of wear me down. Just because I envision. Are you going to be
able to stream? Did you ask him? Can you stream it to your channel?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. You see, this is why they pay you the big bucks. Can I restream? At least get some views. get some views.
Just tell them, hey, I don't, I'll love to come on it, but I want to be able to restream it to my channel. That way my viewers can see it. You know what I mean? And then, it'll actually help them get more viewers, because the odds of somebody seeing them or whatever on your channel and going, oh, I like this, I like what they do here, I want to watch it, is more likely than you telling people I'm going to be on this channel and them actually going to find it.
Right. And that way they'll be able to appreciate what this channel is bringing. And, I'll obviously put them in the description. People want to sub up over there. I think that's a good idea. I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good idea.
I've been known on occasion to have one or two of those.
Yeah, once in a while. So yeah, apparently it seems I forgot to put up a goal tonight, which is making me feel guilty. I should have put up a goal, but I didn't. And yet T-Rex is jumping on in here into the fray. Really off topic. Before we get too deep, I was wondering if you ever heard anything about Dennis Prager's The Rational Bible, Genesis, and if he's trustworthy on the Torah. I do think he's a practicing Orthodox Jew. I think there's a really good chance that most of what he says about Torah I would agree with. Now, of all the social media sources you can throw out there who would be talking about Torah, I would tell you that he's one who I would assume I'm not if I haven't seen it, I can't endorse what he's saying, but if you tell me Dennis Prager said something on Torah and didn't tell me anything beyond that, I'd say he probably got it right, because he seems to be a legit practicing Orthodox Jew. I will tell you this is one topic I was thinking about covering tonight, which I don't expect to really get into detail with you about, and that is the peace deal with Gaza. And I have a lot of thoughts about this peace deal.
That was yesterday's news.
I know, but it's like, it's progressing along, and it seems as if it's going to be a thing. Like there was at one point they were just talking about it, and yesterday it seemed like it's coming true, and there's more and more that it's becoming a reality. And I have a lot of thoughts about it. Most of them very, very negative about this whole deal.
I'll just say my opinion is, it always seems like we're trying to make deals with people who have no desire to have peace to begin with. And by we, I'm saying like it's like the royal we, not me. I'm not making peace with anybody. I'm saying like the U.S. or Israel, all these countries, like our the civilized world. Let's put it this way: the civilized world is trying to always make peace with people who have no desire to have peace with them. They're always giving up concessions and doing things, and it never works out. I have named one time that there's ever been a peace deal where the other side wasn't completely obliterated that has held. I mean, yeah, our peace with Germany held pretty well. Our peace with Japan held pretty well. There was a couple nuclear bombs that had a little bit to say about that. But where else has there been a deal that's ever been stuck to?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I didn't put a goal up, but I will put a goal up now. I'll get into the whole peace deal if we hit our normal goal. I'll even count if that's what I'll put as the goal. If we get 15 super chats of $10 or more during the course of tonight's show, the next 2 hours, and I'll count. If we have 14, I'll count it as 15 because we already got one from T-Rex there. So in that case, I'll address the Israel-Gaza peace deal. I have a lot of thoughts on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like war. I don't think war is a good thing. But if somebody attacks you, you kind of, I don't know, man. You kind of got to respond.
Like I said, I have a lot of thoughts. It's not taking my goal. Let me refresh and try doing that. I'm going to see why it's not taking my goal. Like I said, I have a lot. Give me a moment here. Let me try to do this. 15. I don't know why I wasn't taking it when I tried clicking set the goal.
It does that sometimes.
It's a very annoying thing, right?
Yeah.
Start goal. An error occurred. Please try. There we go. Okay, there it is. Finally.
Maybe you might have put Gaza or Israel in the goal, and then it wouldn't take it or something. You too, like, nope, can't use those words.
Can't talk about that. Let's start off tonight's show. Because we do have a lot to cover tonight. Because I put in our title that we're talking about Letitia James, Chris Wray, California rigging their elections, and lots more. So we have a full docket.
There is. There's a bunch of stuff that
A
happened
full
today.
docket today. Yeah. So let's get on into it. And we're going to start off with this one right here.
Senator, I'm going to ask you to stand by for me for just 1 second. And I would like to come back to the senator to get her to react to this immediately. But we do need to get to this breaking news out of the White House with Kristen Holmes. Kristen, I understand we have some legal breaking news.
Yeah, we have just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the department.
I'm going to throw that in and won.
This was a case that President Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case. And it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric.
See, here's the amazing thing about this. Here's the what do you take from their coverage of this story?
They're hedging everything, and they got a problem though, because for 2.5 years, every one of them did nothing but repeat, "Nobody's above the law." Non-fucking stop. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as they say.
You see, what makes it so amazing to hear in their coverage of this particular story is that when they were talking about, Trump, and no one's above the law, no one's above the law. The framing was never Biden's top opponent in the upcoming election, or Biden's nemesis. It was never about that. You could have broken this story in any myriad of ways where you just say, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted and charged with mortgage fraud. And then you just break it down. But every news out, every single one of them is basically framing it as if the story is that it's Trump's DOJ which is charging her, and nothing about really the legitimacy of the charges, nothing about the basis of this, nothing about the irony of the fact that she's been getting hit on mortgage fraud type stuff when he got hit on loans and for the way he filled out documents on loans, and she's getting hit on things like that. Nothing about that at all. It's purely about this is the person Trump wanted to get. And you didn't hear any framing like that at all from legacy media when it was Trump who was being charged by his political adversary. And it's so disingenuous. They're so transparent that it's almost.
Did Trump ever say go get her or anything like that?
I think he did. I think he did actually. I think he's put out one or two tweet socials
like that. It was like well, he called her crooked and all this other stuff. But I mean, like, as far as this, somebody said, "Hey, we found this mortgage fraud." Now, if there was someone finds communications between Trump and Pulte saying, "I want you to look into all these people and find something on them," to me, I would say, okay, you might have crossed the line a little bit,
right? Right.
It's not supposed to work that way. It's not. I'm not a fan. Like, I understand. Like, I'm not a fan of revenge per se.
Right.
I don't think you should be getting revenge on people. If people broke the law and you have proof of it and you know it, then you prosecute them because that's the way the law works.
Right. Right. And the thing is also, these are charges which they don't even work very hard to claim are empty, like that they're illegitimate charges.
No, we're going to see people try to say that this is everybody does this.
That's a silly defense, particularly for this particular defendant who repeated "no man is above the law" more than anybody in human history. I mean, that's what she's the one who said this over and over again. No one is above the law. No one's above the law. No one is above the law. So for her to try and die on that hill is it's comical, and I think everyone recognizes that. But the point that I'm getting at is, normally what were people saying when Trump was charged? It was, these charges are a joke. Every single time. It's like, these charges don't make sense. These charges are illogical. There's no crime here. There's no victim here. This is a new law they invented specifically to go after him with respect to E. Jean Carroll. Here's 34 in the
well, that's the thing. Like with Trump, they did the E. Jean Carroll thing. They did Jack Smith. They did Bragg with the bullshit of you paid this and you wrote a check, so that means it's 34 felonies.
It was the most insane thing that no one even understood what the hell he had done wrong. They kept calling it, they had to keep calling it the hush money scheme that he was embroiled in, because that's what they basically had to try and relabel it as something, even though that's not a crime. That itself is not a crime. That there's people pay hush money. There are thousands of legal NDA which are hush money deals.
Congress does it. Congress has a friggin' fund to do it, and it's secret. No one can know about it.
That's even worse, because that's where it's hush money for someone who's about to sue.
It's our tax dollars paying hush money for Congress.
But those are hush money to basically make someone who's a potential litigant go away. This is just, I don't want you talking about the story.
Yeah.
So it's not trying to silence someone and buy them off. It's a matter of trying to just, make sure that it doesn't become page 6 fodder. That's all it's about.
I'm also hearing rumblings.
You keep talking for a second.
I was gonna say, I'm also hearing rumblings about Big Fanny, that there's subpoenas that went out, and there's a grand jury impaneled to look at her stuff, because the money that she stole, that she paid her boyfriend, that she used to go on all these vacations, that was federal money. There was federal money intermingled in there, so it's a federal crime. And I'm hearing they're looking at Bragg. They're looking at Christopher. Well, we know Christopher Wray. We're looking at him. There's a bunch of other people they're looking at. Now, as long as they did something wrong, as long as they broke the law, I don't have a problem with it. As long as they're not making like what they did to Trump, where they changed the laws or they stretched things and they said, well, we're going to make this a felony because the statute of limitations expired on a misdemeanor. So we're going to say it's a felony. That way we can charge you.
And also they wanted to get him on like a real crime, not just a misdemeanor, because they wanted to get, they wanted to get some teeth behind it. But the entire situation was just an utter joke. And the point that I'm getting at is everyone is like, these aren't crimes. Like what you're saying he did it's not criminal activity. And you're trying to find ways, even with the DC case that they had. It's like, they realized they didn't have an incitement, so they tried coming up with some new convoluted theories as to how it is that they could try and convict him, because they knew that under the Brandenburg standard, he definitely had not committed any of these crimes. And the point that I'm getting at is that when it came, the difference between prosecution and persecution is when it comes to prosecution, when it comes to persecution, you have situations where you're like, you have to try and reinvent the law and try and find new and inventive ways to try and hold a person accountable. That's indicative that you're trying to go after the individual, as opposed to everyone sees what the crime is here. Everyone sees exactly what you did, how you gained from it, what you did from the entire, everyone sees exactly what you did. And now you're being held accountable for it. That's prosecution. That's not persecution. That's the difference between pro and per. And it's ridiculous that when these stupid, ridiculous legacy media, which you wonder why their ratings are dying, it's because they don't care about sharing news. They don't care about actually informing a public. This is entirely a transparent propaganda machine that is designed to try and say, this is what we want our audience to feel about this story that we're sharing with them. And we're sharing this story because we either have to, and now when we do, we're going to frame it in such a way that this is how you need to digest and understand this story. And they're so transparent in how they're doing it. That's why their ratings keep dying. That's why everyone's just running away from them. It's like they wonder why. They're so stupid. They're so obvious in what they're doing. It used to be there was always slant in the news, Jim. There was always slant in the news.
Well, Connie Chung was really good.
Yeah, but I'm saying is there was always slant in the news, but they got to a point where they didn't care. They don't care that you see the slant. They don't mind. They wanted to make it clear. You were making a joke about Connie Chung.
Yes, you didn't get that.
I just say it did. Wow, man,
right over your head.
I don't remember Connie Chung. I mean,
nightly news. She's the one. Okay,
ABC Channel 7.
Yeah, she's like a was it Family Guy or is it Simpsons, where they always have the Asian reporter? Got to be Family Guy. The Asian, here's your Asian reporter, and it's Connie Chung.
Well, the point that I'm getting at is there used to be an attempt to come across as if they're as if they're impartial and just trying to deliver the news. And they got to a point where they don't even care about having the fig leaf veneer of impartiality.
There's no pretext anymore that they're trying to be fair and balanced.
Right. There is no pretext at all. It's very, very apparent that we have an agenda and we're going to cram it down your throat. So, and William Pulte is a private citizen that investigated Tish and wrote a letter to DOJ. Good call, Kat, and he should be credited. He should be. This is true.
I thought he's the head of he's the head of something. I thought not housing and urban development, but he's the head of something with mortgages or something like some.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Alas, the left is already starting to get wins in this Letitia James case because the judge was assigned to this case. Let's pull this up.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted in federal court for making false statements to a bank in order to secure favorable terms on a mortgage for her Virginia home. What?
Yeah.
What?
She indicated would be her primary residence. James was one of Trump's chief antagonists, you'll remember, bringing a $454 million civil fraud case against the president and his company.
Yeah, but that was overturned.
Yeah.
They took the money. There's no money. They took the money away.
Yeah, that was overturned. They don't, even Fox News.
Fox News, a lot of people don't get it. I've had to tell my parents, like, they're like, what? And they're like, oh. And I'm like, it's Fox. I'm like, there's only 2 shows that you can watch on Fox News now. The 5 because of Greg Gutfeld. Well, 3. And then the Gutfeld show if you want to laugh. And then Jesse Waters. Other than that, there's nothing on Fox that you can watch that's not bent.
They're awful. They basically in 2020, that channel died. It died on election night. We all saw it happen live. We were just like, what the hell are we even watching here? When they're like the first ones start calling some of those crooked states. Let's hear from Scott Jennings on this.
Do 2 wrongs make a right, Scott?
Well, the implication that I don't support the Constitution that you made notwithstanding.
I did not say that.
It gives me being an
He's
original.
just famous for being a constitutional originalist.
Here's what I think. If Democrats like Slotkin are going to come out today and whine about selective prosecutions over Tish James, her entire career is built on the selective prosecution of one man. Now, I also believe what Elliot said. There's a process here. Everybody gets their day in court. Obviously, a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges. We don't know what they are, but a grand jury looked at this and says, okay, there's something here. She gets to go to court just like Comey, just like anyone else. But to me, it's just not going to fly to boo-hoo over selective prosecutions on this particular person who promised in her campaigns, who went after him on things, as Jonah said, that had no business ever happening, if not but for the man's last name being Trump. So I'm not going to.
How is that not a 2 wrongs make a right argument?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying she gets her day in court. I'm saying a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges, and I'm saying she gets to go to court and tell her side of the story, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm just arguing the political debating issue here. Democrats are going to say, this is the first time we've ever had somebody go down the road of selective prosecutions on her.
No, I agree with that. The one thing
So there you go. There you go. Scott making his point there.
Yeah, I would say too, she committed a crime, the same crime, 3 times. All right. And I've talked to, I have one of my best friends that since 3rd grade owns a mortgage company. All right. Does mortgages. And he told me that is straight mortgage fraud. There is no way that's not mortgage fraud. What she did, she knew what she was doing.
100%.
He's like, there's 100%. No, it's like, this is it's paper. He's like, there's no way around it.
That's the thing. It's not even like this is like a complicated case.
No,
it's very simple. Yeah. It's very, very simple. Now, ultimately, this judge is the one who's going to be in charge of sentencing.
He was telling me also, though, that it might not just be mortgage fraud, though, that how she insured the properties could also be fraud. If she insured it as a primary residence, also, then it's insurance fraud.
Oh.
And if she didn't insure it as a primary residence, it's admission and knowledge that she knew she was breaking the law. Because insurance companies are very quick to catch stuff like that. They'll figure out if you have 3 houses that are all your primary residents, and they'll go, "Wait, what are you doing here?"
Right. Yeah.
They're quicker to figure stuff out than the government, insurance company.
And here's the thing also. The woman is a freaking attorney general. Some people can be sloppy, but to be sloppy repeatedly, and when you're in her position, it's that much more inexcusable. You know what I'm saying? It's like, some people might not be aware of what's happening. It doesn't, everything about this that she keeps doing it over and over and over again, and one application after another, and she's changing how many units are there every time in a way that's favorable to her, never the wrong way. If you're just sloppy, then sometimes you would be sloppy in ways that are harmful to your financial interests. But her sloppiness seems to always benefit her financial interests. So this is not sloppiness. It's very apparent exactly what she was doing. It's very apparent that she was intentionally trying to commit fraud here. And frankly, I don't think that this is a lengthy case. I don't think this is a complicated case. I think this is actually relatively simple. And the question is, it's a matter of looking at the documents, seeing what she said. You don't even need much testimony. The whole trial can be wrapped up in 3 days. This is not going to be a 6-week deal. And it's not even something that needs to have a lengthy. I think that she'll get bail. I think she'll be released probably on her own, and she should.
Yeah.
She should be.
That's the thing. That's the difference. Okay, this is the difference. This is why, in my opinion, this isn't persecution. This isn't revenge, because they didn't perp walk Comey. They're not going to perp walk like they tried to do to Trump, like they did to Bannon, like they did to Stone. They're not. Like they did to Navarro. They're not going to do it to these people. They're just going to go, yeah, go ahead, turn yourself in. Yeah, we're gonna do this because this isn't spiteful. This is, you broke the law. It's time to pay.
Yeah. So they're all focusing on the fact that it's his hand-picked attorney, that the one who didn't bring the charges he fired, as brought up over here. Kyle Channing, new Trump's hand-picked prosecutor in Virginia has criminally charged a second person here, Pam Bondi, to prosecute now. New York Attorney General Letitia James Halligan brought the charges to the grand jury herself, signaling resistance of career prosecutors. Yeah,
career prosecutors tried to say oh, we shouldn't do this because it's going to look bad if we take it. We don't think we could get the grand jury to indict. I've heard a rumor. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a lawyer, but you are. I've heard this rumor that they could indict a ham sandwich.
Yeah. The idea that they couldn't get an indictment, it sounds kind of silly. And so try and make it as if what they don't realize is there's actually an admission in this statement as to how deep corruption runs. It's not that, because this is very clearly a crime. It's very clearly a crime. So why you have to have a hand-picked person? Because there's so much deep state crap going on out there that you can't get people to indict a Letitia James.
Well, isn't every U.S. attorney handpicked by the fucking president?
That's.
I mean, isn't that technically he picks them? He appoints them.
Yeah, but there's the point is that he removed this individual. I don't have a problem with making that point. He specifically said, I'm getting rid of this person who's not going after Tish James. What I'm saying is the fact that you had people who were refusing to do that is indicative of the problem with the system. It's indicative of the fact that you have a system here where people are looking to protect people that they like. That's the problem. Instead of actually going after crimes, that is the problem. And that's what people like this aren't realizing. But folks like Dan Goldman will jump all over that, saying, yet again, Trump is grossly abused the criminal justice system by directing an unqualified political lackey to indict his adversary. First and foremost, they're all political lackeys. When you get assigned there, as Jim just pointed out, everyone is assigned by the president of the United States. They're all political lackeys. It's the stupidest thing. This kind of corruption is how authoritarians become dictators. And this is also on every Republican who doesn't speak up. Shut up. This is on you, Daniel Goldman. This is on you and your whole system being so stinking.
Does everybody
corrupt.
not remember what Daniel Goldman did before he was in Congress? He was in charge of impeaching President Trump twice.
Was it him?
Yeah, it was him. He was the lawyer. He was the lawyer.
It was Adam Schiff. It was Adam.
He was the lawyer. He was the staff lawyer.
Oh, the staff lawyer. Uh-huh. I remember Adam Schiff, and I remember Jamie Raskin.
Well, no, but he was the actual lawyer, like the lawyer that worked for their staff or whatever. Look it up. I'll look it up.
You can look that up. I don't recall that offhand. I don't recall his specific role in that. And here's what folks on the other side are saying. She was indicted. Chuck Schumer saying this is what tyranny looks like. President Trump is using the Justice Department as his personal attack dog, targeting Attorney General Tish James for the crime, prosecuting him for fraud and winning. Nope. And nope. She actually was overturned. Everything was overturned here. Oh God, everything here. They have nothing but framing. There's nothing but fluff. This is like everything that you hear from the Democrats. It almost comes across to me like it's just like this. It's just the what do they call it? It's like siding. It's like plastic siding on a house with no frame underneath it. It's just the framing how we want everyone to view this house. And it's just everything's cardboard. Everything is cardboard.
Yeah,
She was
Dan Goldman currently is the U.S. representative for New York's 10th district. Previously served as the lead counsel for the House Democrats during the impeachment proceedings against President Trump.
Really? I don't remember him saying very much. They shelved him. Jamie Raskin took front and center on the second impeachment. The first one I thought was all Adam Schiff, but. Paul Morrow pointing out she was just indicted by a grand jury comprised of her fellow citizens in one of the bluest jurisdictions in America. Complain to them. Compared to the Alvin Bragg case on Trump, this indictment is legal poetry. It really is. It really is. Let me catch up on a couple of chats here.
No problemo.
Israel's stated goal was return hostages, and this deal can achieve it. I'd like to know your thoughts. Is the original goal shifting, or was it never the real one? Now, I have a lot of thoughts, and it looks like we're well on our way to reaching our goal, and I'll probably get into it once we get there at the end of the show. But I have a lot of thoughts. But no, nothing changed from my position. Nothing at all. Pulte is the U.S. Director of Federal Housing, so Kimmy's correcting you on this. She's calling you out. She's saying you're wrong. You're wrong. He's the Director of Federal Housing, which would explain why he's on this one. He's all over this case because it's a housing case. Excited to hear your thoughts on Israel-Gaza deal. Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, it seems like we're probably going to get there. Joey, because you will never know the joy of
Chicharrones.
What I give you shekels. This super chat means nothing. I just want to give you money, Jim. Your next money, but chicharrones are great. Jim knows. What are chicharrones?
I think it's like a pork, like a pork taco type of thing. I think it's a deep fried pork filled taco. I think.
Is it?
I think. They're not kosher. Yeah, I think.
It doesn't sound very kosher. No. Bill Clinton fired every U.S. attorney on
pork rinds. Pork rinds. That's what.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like that pork rinds. Yeah, deep fried pork rinds.
I don't really know what pork rinds are.
It's like pork skins. They deep fry.
Oh,
it's like,
I always thought it was grinds. It's rind, as in the rind of the pork.
Yeah, like skin, pork skin.
So many questions are answered with that one. I was like, what are pork? I assumed it was like chopped up pork, like turning pig into like hamburger or something. That's why I always thought pork rind, but I thought it was grinds, not rinds, because the K ended up becoming like a G when I heard it. All right. Spud says, Joe, New York State has $10 million in its budget to bail our politicians like Tish James. $10 million can help you beat the prosecution. I don't think so. This is a pretty open and shut case. It's a pretty open and shut case. This is not a hard case. It really isn't. Let's hear from let's hear CNN weeping about this for a moment here.
How strong of a case do you think the Justice Department has? And separately but relatedly, Lindsay Halligan, who is the acting U.S. Attorney, the Eastern District of Virginia, she is bringing indictments.
And by the way, about Lindsay Halligan, she is the replacement, the one who ended up bringing these indictments. I'm just going to make this point. People are saying she's unseasoned. She's an idiot. She's a lackey. She doesn't know what she's doing. All this other stuff. Let me point this out to you. Just think for a second what you're saying. This attorney who's so incompetent, who's so stupid, doesn't know what she's doing, has so much evidence that she got an indictment. That's how bad the case is
Two
for
of 'em.
Tish James. Yes, you're trying to say that she doesn't know what she's doing. If she doesn't know what she's doing, that just means the evidence is that strong. That's how strong the evidence is that someone you're considering to be a complete and total dunderhead somehow manages to get these indictments. So, okay. All right. I mean, you have to sort of pick your poison here. It's not like she just, ordered up the indictments herself. She had to convince a grand jury to indict. So they love saying how she doesn't know what she's doing, but I don't know. She got 2 indictments here.
That it sounds as though people in the Eastern District of Virginia thought would be difficult to prove in a court of law.
And I'm going to also say that those who are claiming Halligan is an idiot. That's just misogyny and sexism right there.
That is a higher standard than bringing an indictment. How big a task does she have ahead of her?
Well, look, mortgage fraud is something that's been used in many circumstances in other political cases. You got to remember, we sent Bernie Carrick to jail for 4 years because he made a mistake on his mortgage application. So there is certainly precedent for this, and it's particularly interesting when Letitia James brought an almost identical case against Donald Trump, in New York in a civil context, and so. I do think that when you certify that something is true and there's something in there that's false like that, you would expect that the Attorney General of the state of New York would be more careful in what she's putting on those applications. And so I'm sure that they have some kind of context to put those other documents into, whether those were things that were, put in after the fact, after it was discovered, whatever it is, we'll find out, soon enough. But Lindsay Halligan is somebody that I worked with before. I think she's a very smart lawyer, and she's bringing these cases, presumably because there is good evidence, for them. There is a grand jury that the process has been gone through, and a grand jury, not a prosecutor, decided whether there's probable cause to proceed.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they did go after Bernie Carrick because they thought he was going to become too powerful and too big for his britches because he was basically like the rising star on the right in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, let's
do you think it's possible at all that the reason Tish James went after Trump for the mortgage stuff is because she knew that everyone does this stuff on mortgages, and so she's like, "Well, I do it, so I know he probably does it too."
I don't know. I think she got a tip. Because he probably has taken out so many loans that to find the right one, she probably got a tip. Also, the thing that was so horrific about her case, that was so utterly horrific about it, and I brought this up. I brought this up on when I was talking about that case is. He kept saying that he had a disclaimer. It was actually, it's not really a disclaimer. It's really, it's not called a disclaimer. It's a notice saying, don't rely on me, which he was saying is like, he says the equivalent of a get out of fraud jail free card, and what it is, for those of you who may have missed me talking about this, I'll break it down very quickly. He got indicted in the Letitia James case, or not indicted, sorry, he was hit with civil penalties because it wasn't criminal, it was a civil case. So he was hit with these penalties because he purportedly engaged in fraud by putting down bad info in his mortgage applications. This is not mortgage application, it was a commercial loan. So it was a commercial loan from Deutsche Bank that he'd got hundreds of millions of dollars, and he put up property as collateral. So when you're putting a property as collateral, you sort of have to express how much is the collateral worth so that you can get a good loan. So he basically inflated, purportedly, they say that he inflated the specs as to what was there in the property, like how many floors are in a building, or various bits of information that he inflated in order to convince the bank to give him the loan. Then he got the loan, paid back the loan with all the interests. Everything was settled. And they're like, well, wait a second, you got a better rate because you lied about this. And he says, it's true that some of the information there may have been favorable. You know, some of the estimates as to like the evaluations they put up as to what property was worth, whether it was Mar-a-Lago or other properties that he was putting up as collateral, that they could have been deemed favorable. But there's a cover page which tells the bank, do not rely on the information that I give you, and do your own due diligence. It's basically, it's an agreement. It ends up serving as an agreement because the bank takes it and accepts it and basically says, okay, so this is your position on it, but we still have to do our
obviously did its own due diligence. That's the thing.
We have to do our own due diligence to verify this.
They do it to anybody gets a mortgage. They don't just take, you go to get a mortgage and they go, I want a mortgage on my house. I want $1 million. And they're like, well, what's your house worth? That's worth $2 million. And they look at your house like, it's worth $300,000. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So they're supposed to be doing their own due diligence. And the cover page basically is him saying, don't rely on anything I put in here, because you need to do your own due diligence to verify the information that's in here. This is like for your convenience, my perspective on the valuations here, but do your own due diligence. Letitia James went to the court and she's like, and she argued successfully before Judge Engeron, saying that due diligence statement that he puts there cannot work to obviate, to push away fraud if it's information that only he has access to. So if there's, let's say the building is I don't know, let's say it's coded.
How could any of the information that he did, that's bullshit. He's not the only one that had access to that information. Not to mention, he wasn't the one filling out the friggin' papers.
But he's responsible for whatever's on there, because he basically assumes responsibility. Whatever's filled in there, he's assuming responsibility for. So let's push that argument aside for a second. But let's say there's some sort of latent defect. Okay, let's say that one of his own private people came in there and saw that there's a major fault line in one of the buildings, and that it's about to collapse, and that in order to fix it and get the building up to snuff, you're gonna have to spend $500 million. Right? $500 million you're going to have to spend in order to fix this thing, which means that the value of the building should be shaved down by that $500 million because it's not safe for occupancy. And it's something that no one or it's not going to be safe in another couple of years. So now this is information that the bank would never have access to. That's the sort of thing which you say you can't disclaim your fraud for that, because you're now hiding something that there's no way that they would have access to information that you have. But so
they didn't have any of that in this case, though.
So the judge said, okay, well, because you can't disclaim that, I'm not going to basically let you disclaim on rely on this disclaimer, and not disclaimer, but on this due diligence statement. So that's what Judge Engeron said, and that is logical. That is philosophically and fundamentally, I want to say this, that is 100% a logical take to have. It makes sense that's to say that, hey, you can't just disclaim fraud when you're hiding something and you say, don't rely on me, when you know no one else can possibly have the information but you. That seems very disingenuous. So I can understand that as a matter of principle, as a matter of law, as far as what's a logical way for us to think about the law, that is a logical thing to say, that if it's information that you only have access to, that you cannot disclaim that. However, as my friend here has just pointed out, Jim, has just pointed out, the information that they were coming after him for, saying that he was misleading about, all the testimony that came in to the trial, all of the stuff that was admitted to show that he's committing fraud, the only thing that should have been admissible is things that he alone has access to. Because he can only disclaim the parts that he alone has access to. Those are the parts he cannot disclaim. Everything else, though, it's not like, oh, we tear up that top page there, which says do your own due diligence. It's just that we're saying this do your own due diligence will only have a certain level of protection. It will protect you from information that is easily accessible to the bank when they are doing their due diligence. It will not protect you from information that is not accessible to the bank and that they cannot do due diligence about. So being that that's the case, the only evidence that should have ever been admitted in this case in the first place was evidence that he alone had access to, but something that was publicly available, he disclaimed that part properly, and that should never have come into the trial. And yet we saw in the trial almost every piece of evidence that I heard, saw, and there was tons of it, tons and tons of evidence that any idiot who had access to the internet for 30 seconds and knows nothing about real estate at all could have found out about these properties. They're bringing in information. They're bringing in there saying he claimed that there was 87 floors when really there was only 82 floors. Will you tell me the bank can't figure that out? The bank can't send someone down. The bank can't look at oh, there's only 80 floors. It's a building everyone's using every day in downtown Manhattan. Everyone knows how many floors is in the building. You think that
was that something that because now they're saying 87 floors, did they count the sub basements and the basements, or did they not count those?
What he explained, I mean, I didn't want to get into this whole long case, but what he explained was that he had air rights. And I know that will sound like a bogus, silly thing to most people, but he's a real estate magnate and he's been doing this for decades. He was born and bred doing this business. So he understands that in New York City, there is a concept called air rights. What does that mean? It means because you can't build new houses and new structures or new buildings in downtown Manhattan, every inch of real estate is already accounted for pretty much. So the only place you can build is up. And the right to build up is something that is bought and sold for millions of dollars in New York City. Companies will pay millions of dollars for what they call air rights. It has a legitimate value to it because you have the ability to build up and have now property in downtown Manhattan, and Scott penthouse property for a commercial building, build offices up there, and this on the 87th floor, that's worth a lot of money. So those air rights have value. So he was basically incorporating not just the actual physical structure as it stood, but including the floors that he had the right to build up to. That's why he was like tacking on floors. But my point to all of this is, if they're saying he was misleading about how many floors there were, and I can understand someone saying, well, that's kind of misleading. Someone who reads this would think that. That's fine, because he disclaimed that. He said, do your due diligence. And that's exactly the sort of thing. If they did 10 seconds of due diligence, they would know how many floors there are. They hit him on, they tried claiming his valuation on Mar-a-Lago was flawed. They said Mar-a-Lago was only worth $18 million, when frankly, his front lawn is probably worth $18 million in that property. I mean, so many stupid, ridiculous things that they were using to try and find some way to hit him with the most gross and ostentatious and ridiculous judgment against him that was so terrible that the completely left-leaning First Department of New York's appellate division said this is insane, and they knocked out the entire thing because it was just so asinine how they came up with these numbers and this judgment. So now you want to tell me now that this woman was acting in good faith? She ran on the concept that she's going to get him.
That's the difference too, is that like the people like Fannie Willis, like Bragg, like Jack Smith, and Letitia James, they all set out to find something on Trump. And they spent months trying to find something to pin on him. They went through everything. I mean, they dug through everything. Trump didn't say, I'm going to pin something on Letitia James. Someone said, hey, looks like she committed a crime here.
Yep.
We found this paperwork, Well,
anyway, but now she's playing. It's funny because she kept whining about how Trump looked like a victim. So now she's coming out now to try and seem like she's a victim now. She's going to stand strong. I will survive. I will survive. Here we go.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing...
She looks like she's trying out for some sort of movie role here.
Federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding. All because I did my job.
Nope.
As the New York State Attorney General.
You did not.
These charges are baseless.
Not at all 100% spot on. Tell us how they're baseless. Tell us how.
And the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Not really. He could have come after you sooner if that was the case.
The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order.
Not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. You're going to need to walk me through. How is this in any sort of way a grave violation of constitutional
and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties.
I didn't hear from anybody on the right.
You tell me. You're the one who's doing the research for tonight. You see,
you know what?
Republicans come out there and say
They found one guy, Michael Steele, the guy who used to be the head of the RNC back when Bush was president, but it turns out that he's just a Democrat.
One of the Lincoln Log people.
Yeah.
Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is her go-to now.
His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me
because that person was corrupt,
and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country.
That's not accurate either, actually.
Didn't she get people to come from Biden's DOJ to come work for her to help her get Trump?
To prosecute the case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Good catch there, Jim.
Yeah, okay. I thought I remembered something like that. I don't know.
On both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice.
Tell us how you're not guilty. Explain to us how. Because Trump was coming out here telling us these are all the ways I'm not guilty. Tell us how.
I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump organization,
which was overturned by the First Department. The very left liberal First Department overturned the work that your department wasted millions and millions of New York City taxpayer dollars on.
We conducted a 2-year investigation,
which fell apart and got nothing.
It
took 2 years to find something on him.
And
she's not admitting. Yeah, we spent 2 years looking, and this is what we found: this one thing, a paperwork error.
Not politics, even though she ran on "I will get Trump." This completely ridiculous woman, this walking cheeseburger.
Judges have upheld the trial court's finding.
Nope. They basically said, your whole judgment here, gone.
That Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud.
Nope. How much do they owe? Tell us how much they owe, Tish. How much money did you collect on that judgment?
I'm a proud woman of faith.
You're a failure. You're a walking joke.
And I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space.
Share the same space. She thinks she's giving like a sermon here.
And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless.
Oh, yeah, you're fearless. Well, we'll see how you look fearless.
As Nancy Pelosi said, she'll have her day in court and right to prove herself innocent.
There you go.
That's what Nancy Pelosi said about Trump, remember?
Yeah, nice.
Teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively.
Oh, yeah? On what basis? What's so baseless about them? Tell us how. Tell me one way they're baseless.
And my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights.
Not going to be your office for much longer, honey.
And I will continue to do my job.
You never did your job. Never, ever. No. But, so there you go. There you go. She'll be kicking and screaming all the way to court. But here's CNN doing exactly what Jim said the left is doing.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that...
Everybody lies on the fucking mortgage application? Everybody lies? Well, you know what? I think what should happen now, honestly,
investigate her.
Investigate her. She just admitted that she does it.
She totally just did. She totally just did.
And she was on air, said that everybody does it. So we just want to look. Can we see her mortgage paperwork and see did she lie? Does she have more than one home? I mean,
everyone does it. Oh my God.
I mean, actually, the only people that have to worry about this is people that own multiple homes. So that's not everybody in America. Because yeah, sure, if you're buying a house, it's your only house. Of course, you're going to put it your primary residence.
Yeah, I don't know why it is that this thing is saying there's only 4. I have 6. I count 6 yellows so far. In case you're wondering where we're at, I have 6 out of 15, including the one that came before. So I don't know why it's saying only 4 out of 14. Out of 15. I'm feeling a little annoyed. But
I know StreamYard's been acting really weird lately. I don't know. I've
It's
been
not
looking at other
StreamYard. It's YouTube is not counting it properly.
Oh,
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's happening there. Anyway, I think it's time we should probably we'll have one more clip here from Mike Davis, who's in good spirits today.
They went after our side for nonsense. They went after our side for non-crimes. They politicized and weaponized intel agencies and law enforcement with made-up charges that eventually got kicked by the Supreme Court. It wasn't just Trump and his top aides like you, Bannon and Navarro and Jeff Clark. You guys have the wherewithal to fight this. They went after parents, Christians, protesters on January 6th. They hunted them for years. So these lawfare Democrats, I would say, we are just getting warmed up. James Comey and Big Tish James are just the appetizers.
Nice.
Hearty appetizers, but they are just the appetizers. Just wait till we get to the main course.
The long and the wide of it, so to speak. Mike Davis, Viceroy, where do people go to Article 3 to find you, sir? Now more than ever?
So there you go. So that's Mike Davis breaking it down. One person who's not too excited about what's happening here. I guess I'll close out with this one. Is someone I just retweeted, and this fits in well with what this fits in very well with what Mike Davis was just saying. Is this guy right here. This guy, Adam Schiff, saying another dark day for our democracy, another vindictive prosecution of someone on the president's enemies list, another terrible abuse of the Justice Department as an instrument of Trump's retribution campaign. These actions cannot and will not deter Americans from standing up to the increasingly authoritarian regime. You were screaming how he was increasingly authoritarian for the last 10 years. So yeah, at a certain point, you just kind of sound like a joke. But the real serious issue for Adam Schiff is that he knows he's next. He is next for the exact same issues, exact same mortgage fraud. He's got the same problems. He's claiming primary residences in different parts of the country. You're only allowed to have one. And he was even censured by Congress for it.
He was censured and said he wasn't going to do it again. But pull up this chat real quick that says, what happens when you buy a primary residence with a mortgage and then buy another house to live in and you keep the first one? Technically, you said both are primary. If you did that and within the first year, I believe is what makes it, like after a year, you're able to say like, you could say like, well, that's no longer my primary now and you could get away with it. But if you do it in the same year, they know you're up to something, is what the mortgage people told me.
And they keep refinancing also. And
right.
every time they're refinancing.
She did a refinance on the house. Like she bought the one in Virginia and lied and said it's a primary residence. Then she refinanced one for the same year in New York and said the same thing. That's where I think they got her cold. She can't say, well, I was going to live there, you know.
And as Nicole points out, you know, she's like, his words make clear his political attribution. She's the one saying, I promise I'll go after Trump and we'll get him. That's what she said when she was running. So, Starch Manning says, what's compelling about this indictment is release the Epstein files. I don't know what you think you're going to find in these files. I don't know what you think you're going to find there. But I don't think the files look anything like what you think that they look like.
Is that you have something running in the background, a fan or a motor or something?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that
somebody send Joe a new fan to his PO box, please?
Yeah.
Because that is like, at first I didn't know what I thought it was the video we were watching.
Yeah, well, there was background noise in Mike Bannon's thing also, but so Aaron saying, I love the word dunderhead and wingnut. Use that one too. Wingnut is not really in my arsenal. Dunderhead is one I'll whip out once in a while. Wingnut is not really mine. Greg Warner says, if we knew about this fraud before electing her, trump it up to a felony. If we knew about this fraud before electing her, trump it up to a felony. I don't know what that means. All right. But her own tweets will be used against her in trial. Probably. I mean, I haven't really. I'm not really a big fan of. I don't follow what she's tweeting out.
The problem she's going to have is the letter that her lawyer sent. Like from what I understand, from what I've been told by people experts, that this is what they do for her lawyer sent a letter saying, no, here she wrote this letter to telling them that it's not going to be her primary residence. That was before she signed the paper that it was her primary residence. So it's like that doesn't mean anything. It's like you're admitting you did something wrong here.
All right. James, send you a DM of CNN running cover. Let me see what you sent me here. Let me see what you sent. Oh, okay. I'll try to pull this up. I think this is probably worth looking at. They're so desperately trying to run cover for her. This is just the start. It really is just the start. I'll pull it up in a minute. Kimmy says, when Tish stands before God, she'll hear, "I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoer." Yeah, I have a feeling God is not going to be bringing Tish into his loving embrace anytime soon. But let's see what CNN is how they're trying to run cover for Tish James.
Trump did acknowledge that there could have been a mistake on his financial statement when it came to the value of his Trump Tower apartment, but he said that's why his statements included disclaimer clauses. Quote, "There's a disclaimer clause where you don't have to get sued by the Attorney General of New York." Is that in any way a legitimate defense?
No, the judge already found it wasn't. The judge said, listen, you just can't offer miscalculating or wrong and misleading and fraudulent information and then say, wait, just kidding, do your own due diligence here. You have to be able to rely on what's actually being said. So
that's not what the judge said. That's a misstatement of what the judge said, that it doesn't cover you if it's things that information only you have access to.
Already resolve that issue. Now, what he's trying to do, though, is suggest, and you can't have both worlds, Jake. He can't, on the one hand, say he's in control of everything. On the other hand, say, look, everyone else told me this, and I handed it over and delegated. Both can't be true on a fraud trial.
You have to prove that it's done knowingly. And so
if it's a mistake that's actually relevant criminally, it has to be, if it is a mistake and the person says, look, it's obviously a mistake, here's evidence it's a mistake, then you can't prove intent, and that's important.
They've acknowledged, Letitia James seems not, there was an error on a power of attorney form. They would try to argue that that was no intent of wrongdoing if she was presenting throughout, and the bank itself did not feel it was defrauded because they had the correct information despite one false document.
Well, Jake, the key question is,
would she be the only one that would know if she was going to live there or not? Wouldn't that be information only she would have?
Yeah, that would be. You're saying to the same argument.
Yeah. So she withheld information that only she would know. The bank had no way of knowing unless they were going to follow her around with private investigators to see where she lived.
It's not the same thing because it's not a disclaimer the way that we have with Trump. So it's not exactly a parallel situation in that regard. So,
you're really stomping all over my stuff today, Joe.
When we venture into legal things, I need to make sure I'm always very precise. So that's why. I appreciate you asking the questions, because the questions you're asking, I assume that a lot of people in my audience are probably asking. So, and you're saving them in super chats.
Mortgage fraud case is whether Letitia James intentionally and specifically made a false representation. So as Kara said, now they're going to have to prove their case to a jury eventually beyond a reasonable doubt. And if this is a mistake or something that was done inadvertently, that's not going to be enough to support a criminal charge against Letitia James.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck that this was a mistake. Good luck that she's making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. There's so many different mistakes. So many different mistakes.
Well, she made the same mistake 3 times on 3 different mortgages.
So many different mistakes about how many units when she's dealing with multiple unit dwelling issues. So many mistakes where she claims that something that she needs to have, it can't be something that's got 5 units and she's claiming it's got 4 in order to be eligible for various loans and things of that nature.
There is
so many different mistakes.
Joe, isn't there a thing in law where, like, if there's a pattern of thing they keep doing the same thing over and over again, you can use that as like proof that it's like a criminal intent or what am I thinking here? You're like like a criminal mind or whatever or something.
It's indicia of a criminal mindset.
Yeah,
or intent. I think that
I mean, because you can't use, they call it where you can't use like character, like the disperse, like a character thing. Like
right.
They have the character of a criminal, but if it's the same exact crime,
You're
that
talking
they
about like a
committed-
predisposition.
Yeah, like a predisposition to commit. I don't know. Trying to think of a way to word it that doesn't sound stupid.
No, you're not. You don't sound stupid at all. What I would tell you is that the predisposition, where I see that coming up more, is when you're talking about issues of entrapment and things of that nature. That you can't argue entrapment if you're predisposed towards something. But I mean, I guess that you can say that if someone has a, I think at a certain point.
Because didn't they let? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but didn't they let like people that Trump that never had anything to do, like never brought any case against Trump, come in on the case with E. Jean Carroll and testify that he did stuff to them too?
One more time.
I swear they brought in people that were uncharged. Like Trump was never charged with anything. Trump never. They also didn't they do it in the other case too, the Alvin Bragg case? Like they brought in other people to say he did this stuff that had nothing to do with the.
Oh, to show that he has a predisposition
pattern, like it was a pattern of behavior on his part.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's more likely to come up in a civil case than a criminal case.
Oh, okay.
That's more likely because in a criminal case they want to make sure that the jury is convicting on this particular charge. So I would not expect information.
Well, unless it's Trump, that the judge just says convict on anything, and you don't even have to agree what it is. And
well, with Trump, those were civil charges, right? You're talking about E. Jean Carroll.
The 34 charges. That was it said because they needed to get it to be a felony, it had to be some other crime, and it was and the judge said, you know, it does. You don't have to agree. Just if you think it's any crime, you guys can look at this crime, you can look at this crime, and just figure it out.
That was bizarre. Yeah. That was bizarre what happened there, where they basically, that seemed to just go against all norms of criminal justice altogether, where he was like, pick your crime. But I think that the rules are a little different for civil and criminal court, and that's why I don't want to weigh in on this because I'm not a criminal defense attorney, so I don't want to weigh in on that. But my gut would be, if someone was just talking to me in a bar, if you were sitting there and having this conversation over a beer, I would say to you, I don't think that's going to fly in criminal court because they want to ensure that the jury is not convicting for a different crime. At least I would hope it wouldn't be flying there. But what is the jurisdiction? That's equals guilt. The jurisdiction is what do they say? Northern District of Virginia?
Eastern District of Virginia.
Eastern District of Virginia. Yeah. The DOJ and FBI are working with limited resources within the department that they can trust. Trump is right to focus on legendary election tampering and deep state collusion. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they probably know that it's almost like when in the Elliot Ness, like, you know, with the Untouchables, it's like there's so much corruption going on there that you don't want to have the wrong people's hands, because all of a sudden files that you need will just go missing or something like that. So you almost, it's sad state of affairs there, but that's probably reality. I think
that's what I did understand, where these people are talking about all this, like with the Epstein stuff, like the files that would be important with Epstein, would be the stuff that they got when he was first arrested in the 90s or the 2000s. You know what I mean? Like that first arrest. I don't even remember when it was, but that's the stuff that would have all the information, not the stuff that then they just arrested him a couple years ago.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, true. Zillion says, Joe, I just want to give you money because, like you, I also hate Native Americans. What? No, I don't. What? No, I do not hate at all. I think Native Americans, many of them are cool. But, gosh, I also know what happened to the Mayans. They were sacrificed for your Jewish black magic to make you lasers. That's not true either. No part of that rant was in any way, shape, or form true. Dizzy D sent me a fitty over in Rumble. Send me $50 over in Rumble. God bless you, Dizzy D. Thank you very much for the very generous rant. I appreciate that. I'm gonna give that. I'll give that multiple credit towards. I'm gonna give that multiple credit towards our goal. Where are we at on our goal? Let me see where we're at on our goal, because it's getting hard. I guess we'll probably we're getting close. I'll say we need probably 3 or 4 more. Get 3 or 4 more, we're good to go. So I know it says there's only 5 there, but if we get I'll say we get another 3. If we get another 3 or 4, we'll definitely go through the whole Israel Gaza thing with you guys. So, all right, we got other stories we got to cover. We got other stories. So let's do that post hit. What was next on the agenda for us?
I think it was
Chris Wray.
Chris Wray. Yeah, Chris Wray.
Chris Wray. Should I come with the second email you're gonna send me? Should I do that?
Well, the second email is just the link for the story on it from CNN. If you want to pull up the X post first, it kind of would break into. And I guess this is actually, like, I didn't see it before. The story is actually from the 29th of September.
Really?
Yeah. So I didn't see it. I missed it completely. I never saw this.
Because you say, I see what you're saying. And this happens to me sometimes also. Like when we're trying to cover the news, we'll see stuff on X that'll come today. And I'll show you what we're looking at here, right? This is from October 9th, 6:29 p.m. So Jim finds this thing. He's like, oh, wow, Chris Wray is on the National Security investigation for obstruction of justice, including obstructing the Durham investigation. That seems like a really interesting story. Tell me more about this. And then when you dig up this story, you find out that this relates back to something that came out more than a week ago. And you're like, where was I?
Because I'm constantly looking for news stories. I'm looking through Ground News. I'm looking through Center News. I'm looking for different news aggregate sites to find stories. I didn't see anything about Chris Wray being under investigation.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that either. Documents were hidden in Wray's office on the 7th floor of the FBI headquarters. They were put in burn bags in a secret room to be destroyed. I always wondered,
because they were blaming it on Comey, remember?
Yeah, I always wonder about these burn bags. Like, why don't they just burn? like how do they have so many things in burn bags? How many things are they burning that they're like, oh, we'll get to this later? Like, you would think, take out your trash. Like, I don't know how it is that we're finding so many things in burn bags.
There's probably layers of bureaucracy to get something actually burned. You probably have to have multiple people sign off on it, and you probably have to say what's in the bag somewhere. You can't just go here, burn this bag, and they're like, okay, you know what I mean? There's probably got to be some, I would think.
I don't know. I'm just very confused by this whole burn bag thing. It seems as if like the best goodies we're finding are in burn bags, and I'm like, why aren't they burned? Like, what isn't that why they call it a burn bag? And are they actually physically burnt? Like, is it fire or is it just mean shredded? Like this, like I have so many questions about these burn bags.
Well, shredding is different. Burn bags are like a shredding. They could always shredding. They could actually recover stuff from.
Oh, you're saying someone goes all Rain Man there?
Oh yeah,
they start piecing together the different like layers of stuff there and taping them and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have actual because the burn bags could have stuff in it like digital stuff. It could have drives. It could have different media in there that you wouldn't send through a shredder anyway. But there's and I'm pretty sure it's
You're
not
saying something that's too big for a shredder. They put it in a burn.
Well, yeah, it could be it could be DVDs. It could be Blu-rays. It could be VHS tapes.
Cocaine.
Yeah. Well, actually, they have to burn when they do stuff like they used to. This is funny, just kind of on the side.
It's a picture, Mark. Like it's a beautiful mind guy. He's gonna sit there with the entire time with all these long strips of paper, just like getting the glue stick out. This one goes there. That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, but the city of Chicago used to just dump all their guns and drugs in Lake Michigan that they confiscated. They would go and just take them out like a mile out.
Is that why the river caught? Is that why it caught fire?
No, but people knew that that's what they did, and so they would go out there with scuba tanks and get the shit. And so they had to stop doing it, and now they had to burn it. Now they had to go they used to go to a steel mill, because for stuff like PCP and certain drugs, it has to be burned so hot because you can't release it into the atmosphere. It's got to vaporize it.
Yeah, that's the next thing I'm picturing with the cocaine. Like I'm picturing tons of people in the vicinity getting incredibly high.
Yeah. Or marijuana, oh yeah, I always see like those videos where they were like back in the day when they'd light the marijuana fields on fire and they're all standing there in the smoke, and I'm going, you guys are getting high.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so what do we got here? The Justice Department is conducting a national security investigation around the FBI leadership when Christopher Wray was director in the latest probe by the Trump administration of the president's political enemies. According to two people familiar with the investigation, the Western District of Virginia is leading the inquiry related to alleged destruction or mishandling of documents connected with the Durham Special Counsel investigation. The investigation, this would be 18 U.S.C. What was it? 1582? Was that the one with the obstruction? The investigation is looking at, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on that one, is looking at multiple potential subjects from the top leadership of the FBI from 2020 through 2024. At the time, Wray was director. Investigators have been seeking interviews in recent weeks and have spoken with staff who worked on the 7th floor, the dreaded 7th floor of the FBI headquarters during Wray's tenure, where the leadership suite is, the sources said. CNN has reached out to Wray for comment. Multiple prosecutors are working on the investigation of the Wray-era FBI front office, which was a particular interest of now FBI Director Kash Patel from his first months on the job. The investigation includes questions about documents that were stored in burn bags, which are often used to dispose of paper versions of classified records, the sources said. The investigation appears to be intersecting as well with the recent declassification of part of the report written by former special counsel John Durham, who examined investigators who handled sensitive political investigations around Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2016. One of the sources said, I got to tell you, John Durham is another guy who I think should be closely scrutinized. The fact that he came away with basically no recommendations on indictments with everything Tulsi Gabbard has found, it makes me feel, A, that he must have been a recommendation to Trump from Bill Barr, who at the time that Durham was appointed, we had yet to realize just what an utter snake Bill Barr was. Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling that Bill Barr was behind his appointment there, but I think that guy did such a scummy job in the way.
You've heard the reporting about Bill Barr supposedly having some shady business dealing with visas and stuff like that. And
no,
it's actually from like a week or so ago. Yeah, somebody like was a whistleblower, and then the FBI went and arrested the whistleblower that reported that worked for Bill Barr and was getting like these shady visas and stuff. I'll try and I'll try and get it for you later. Like not today, another day. I'll get it back to you just so you can look at it. Like so, supposedly there's Bill Barr was involved in something where they were basically selling visas to get people into the country.
Interesting. I'd be very curious about that. If you can let me know about that, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? This is more of the same here. So Doge AI is reporting the FBI 7th floor document destruction scandal isn't surprising. It's standard operating procedure for bureaucrats, quote, weaponizing power. Director Kash Patel, Deputy Bongino have exposed systemic corruption with the Oversight Project's criminal referral detailing Wray's false testimony about Chinese election interference and anti-Catholic targeting. Interesting. Chinese election interference and anti-Catholic targeting. When 20,000 fake IDs for mail-in fraud get buried while burn bags mysteriously fill up, it proves the swamp protects its own. This is exactly what we were just talking about with Durham. This isn't just about Durham. It's about an entrenched culture of political espionage that Trump's DOJ is finally dismantling. Full transparency isn't optional. Every shredded page fuels public distrust. Patel's investigation must follow the paper trail straight to Wray's locked drawers. I agree with that. So let's pull up the original article on this. Let me get through a couple of these here. Joe needs to adjust the mic cutoff. It's picking up that fan something awful. I think it's Jewish black magic trying to entrance me into the magic. And that's Allison is also upset with this thing. I don't know why. Is it still bad? You're muted.
I still hear it.
You still hear it?
Yeah.
strange why it's doing that, but all right.
You know why? Because the
why?
squeaky wheel gets the grease.
I guess so. Lyle Holdman says they're hoping that no one found the burn bags with the good stuff until too late to do anything about it. Yeah, but why not?
That's the thing. Like, I don't
burn
understand.
the burn bags.
Was there someone who knew what was in there and hid them because they didn't want it to be destroyed and wanted people to get caught? Or was this just government ineptitude? Like someone said, "Oh, we'll get to it later. We need someone to sign off, and we don't want to tell them, because they're going to say, what are you burning? What's going, like someone's going to ask questions." And so, like, I don't know. I'm asking questions myself. I'm saying, could it be that it was just government incompetence that allowed this to happen? And that would be funny, right? Like too much bureaucracy.
Or a good actor who's trying to get them exposed. I don't know.
I mean, it could be a good actor, because how did Cash find them and know what they were? You know what I mean? Like, maybe somebody said, "Hey, go up there and look in this room."
It says Deep Throat called up Cash Patel and said, "Check with the check room 407." That's I don't know. If there was some tip out there, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of thank yous. You're welcome. I'll be sitting here schwitzing, but you're welcome. Okay, so finally here on this story, CNN reported, and this does go back to September 29, Trump's DOJ probes former FBI leadership over document mishandling allegations. You see, this is what Jim was talking about. Like, it's first hitting X today, while CNN was reporting on this back on September 29th. The Justice Department is conducting a national security investigation around the FBI leadership when Christopher Wray was director. According to two people familiar with the investigation, Western District of Virginia is leading the inquiry. We got this. The investigation is looking at multiple potential subjects from the top leadership. Investigators have been seeking interviews in recent weeks with people on the 7th floor. And the investigation comes at a time when President Donald Trump has become more overt in calling for the prosecution of former FBI officials. Following the indictment of Wray's predecessor, James Comey, last week, Trump on Saturday accused Wray of lying about the events of January 6th and insisting other indictments of his political opponents would come. Quote, Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's 2 in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake, Trump wrote on social media site Truth Social. CNN has reached out to Wray for comment. Multiple prosecutors are working on the investigation of the Wray-era FBI front office, which was a particular interest of now FBI Director Chris Wray. We got that also. Investigator appears to be about John Durham. That's part of the written investigation. The prosecutors appear to be pursuing the case in the Western District of Virginia because of how national security documents sometimes are retained in an FBI document storage facility in Winchester, which is in the district. I wondered how they got there. They don't want to be in D.C., obviously, because anything that's against the left is going to die in D.C. So I was wondering, most things are Eastern District, because I think that's
Western
closer.
District is saying of Virginia, which I don't understand why Western District. Maybe is that where he lived?
That's what they're explaining here, that they're pursuing in the Western District because the FBI document storage facility is in Winchester, which is in Western Virginia.
Oh, there you go.
AG Pam Bondi also recently directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation around intelligence used by federal law enforcement in 2016. While the investigation remains active, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Western Virginia is one among several that has faced inner turmoil in recent weeks. Former Virginia State Prosecutor Robert Tracy has been in position as acting U.S. Attorney for a little over a month. Trump's initial appointee, Todd Gilbert, resigned only 2 months into his tenure after a standoff with the White House over who would be his deputy, according to another person familiar with the situation. Oh, you can't tell me who's going to be my deputy. A spokesperson for the West District of Virginia declined to comment. Patel mentioned finding documents and hard drives in a room in FBI headquarters in an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience in June. Quote, my guys are going through that right now, Patel said on the podcast. The front office suite of FBI's specialized facility where classified documents can be kept. The director's office and others on the 7th floor are considered secure facilities used to store highly classified material and are outfitted with burn bags. So maybe we're learning more about the burn bags now. Even now, According to current FBI officials, there are burn bags in use as part of the authorized manner to handle such documents, and documents in the burn bags are almost certainly backed up electronically, according to former and current Bureau officials. In recent days, Patel has continued his criticism of FBI leadership, writing on social media following the indictment of Comey that, quote, for far too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging a once proud institutions and severely eroding public trust. Wray, whom Trump appointed to lead the FBI in 2017, after he fired Comey and before he realized how many bad apples he was surrounded by, resigned before Trump's second inauguration in January, 3 years short of his 10-year term. During his farewell address, Wray called the FBI to maintain its integrity. No matter what's happening out there, Wray said, in here, we've got to stay committed to doing our work the right way every time. That means following the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it or doesn't. Because trust me, if there's anything I've learned in this job, there's always someone who doesn't like you. Well, I think Faye Ray has a lot of people that doesn't like him.
Just so you know, in the private chat, I put the Project Veritas link for that story about Bill Barr for you.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you kindly.
It's from August 5th.
Did you see Dominion was sold? I did not see that. Did you see that?
I didn't see it either.
I turned the fan off. That's why you don't hear it. That's why you don't hear it anymore. Burn bag not getting burned is like bureaucracy combined with work from home post-COVID. Perhaps that would explain it. So much better without fan high pitch. Now I can fall asleep to smooth tones of Joe. There you go. There you go. The dulcet tones. Yeah. I have it on most nights. That's what's so weird to me. It's the same fan that's on most nights, but
maybe it just needs to get a little spray on, some WD-40 or some oil or something.
I don't know.
Silicone spray, something.
Maybe. I actually usually like having it on for noise in case, like, there's like breathing behind me or something like that. But Spud says, Joe, New York State has $10 million in its budget to bail. Oh, I think I covered that. I got that one.
She probably won't even have to post bond.
Look at this. So Long Ago Picture Show has rated the stream. Thank you so much, So Long Ago Picture Show from Rumble. I've
been noticing a lot more people raiding streams on Rumble. It seems like, because I think it's anybody in your chat or maybe any moderator in the chat can raid streams in Rumble.
I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. I've seen you raid me sometimes on Rumble.
It's somebody that's in our chat that does it. I think it's Life is Indifferent does it, and so does Uzellian, I think, and they'll take care of it. Like raid either one of us if the other one's streaming.
I don't even know how. I don't know how to do it on Rumble.
I don't either.
I can set it up on YouTube, but I have no idea how it gets done on Rumble.
It's easier from what I understand on Rumble. It's just you write it in the chat or something, and it does it.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the guy was trying to tell me, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you just go like this and find a channel, write it in there, and it does it." All right,
that's pretty wild. All right, so I wanted to move on. What do you think we should cover next? What do you got for me?
Let's see. We could do. Did you want to talk about the phony priest?
Definitely want to talk about the phony priest. Let's do that. I'm glad you brought that one up. The phony priest. This one. I want to talk about the phony priest, and I also want to cover the California thing because
the California vote scam,
yeah, the California vote scam is this thing I put in my. I put that in my.
Okay, we can do the California vote scam.
Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
All right. What number was that? Here it is. Number 6. Yes, this was really bothersome.
You had 6 and 6As. You had 6A is the main election one, which that was the one where they found a bunch of ballots in the Amazon box.
Check this out. I saw this and I couldn't believe it. Wall Street Apes reporting. Gavin Newsom's redistricting election. So in case you're wondering what this is about, the redistricting election. So in the wake of Texas doing their own redistricting, which they had to do by law, they had to redistrict. So Democrats were throwing a hissy fit, and the California Democrats were saying, we're going to redistrict to get 5 seats or 6 seats over here in California. Now, California has its set up as to how it is that they structure, how they redistrict. So they're trying to change their laws. In order to change their laws, they need to have a proposition go out on a ballot that Californians will vote on. What looks very shady about this impromptu election that they're holding is the way the whole thing is set up here. That California residents got her ballot. If you vote no on Proposition 50 to stop the redistricting, it shows through the envelope. This makes it easier for Democrats to identify them and throw them in the trash. What the hell? What the hell is that? Why would they have that? This is so shady.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence. It's just an accident. It's, you know,
they're so shady.
We have in our ballots, we have a privacy shield. You know, like it's a green paper that you have to use that. You know what I mean? It says if you don't include the privacy shield, your ballot won't be counted.
It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. They're so slimy. They're so corrupt. And they're unabashedly corrupt. Breaking ballots, California Prop 50 that would allow Governor Newsom to redistrict the state and benefit Democrats have a huge error with the no option visible through a hole in the ballot for anyone to see outside. Now, I assume that's the no that we're seeing checked off over here. I don't know. But Shannon Bellows, Secretary of State of Maine, is asked a very simple question. So let's check out what's happening in Maine. What information do you have that leads you to believe this wasn't an accidental mix-up with the shipping of 250 mail-in ballots found in an Amazon box? Her response? Any question for any other member? Are you familiar with this story with Shannon?
There was a woman who opened up an Amazon delivery with that had stuff that she ordered from Amazon, and there was 5 packs of 50 ballots, brand new ballots wrapped and shrink wrapped with the security and everything on it, that somebody stole, and they have on their ballot, on this ballot, is whether or not they're going to have voter ID.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The election's going to have voter ID on the ballot. She's confirming right here it's going to be rigged. She won't answer questions about hundreds of blank mail-in ballots arriving at someone's home in Amazon box. The point is not just these 250. It's how is something like that
out there?
Exactly.
Where did they go that they were supposed to go?
Yeah.
It's not that many. Also, people say 250 ballots, but how many people are in Maine?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple million in Maine, but the point is that there could be hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. Listen to this Shanna Bellows. She was one of the people who tried to
get Trump off the ballot. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where she became famous.
What information leads you to believe that this wasn't an accidental mix-up with the shipping?
So is there any other question from any other member?
Can you speak to the perception that the public might have of your false investigation?
Is there a question?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They're so corrupt. God. You can't hate these people enough.
Yeah, KPT's right. It's just the 250 that were reported. Yeah, we don't know. Maybe it got in the wrong box and this lady reported it. And maybe other ones didn't. Maybe they got sent to
the right place.
To the right place.
Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to send it somewhere. The Chicago TRO is connected to the fake priest.
Yeah, I have a couple pulled up. There was a TRO placed just early, since I did the list, there was a TRO placed on the Trump administration saying they can't, use any force or do anything to journalists or priests and other. I don't know.
Well, we're going to work our way there. I think you should be able to serve in Article 1, 2, or 3 positions without having previously served in the military. I'd sign up for that. I'd be fine with that. I think that makes sense. There's some logic behind that. So fine. Let's get into the priest story. Let's cover that. Let's do that. That was story number 3, 2. It was 2. It was
2A.
2A. There we. Oh, there's a lot here on this one. You give me a lot on 2A.
Yeah, it's just people. But a lot of it's just comments people make. But then there's I got basically.
I go down to the video. Should I start with the video?
Wait. What? I didn't have anything marked as a video, did I?
I'm down lower in 2A. You got a lot. 2A has a million. Oh, that's in 2B.
Oh, that's 2B.
That's what happened. That's what happened. All right. Let me
There
see.
are some videos here, though, but I didn't mark them for some reason. And I know there's videos because there's videos of him getting hit.
Yes. Yeah. This guy has gone. He's a professional get hit guy, this guy. So you're about to see very, very explicit video of what looks like a priest getting hit with like pepper spray and all sorts of horrible things. Here's Tina Smith whining. If ICE thinks it's okay to assault a pastor in broad daylight, imagine what they're doing in the dark. Oh, imagine the horror. He is a woke poser. Christianity is not woke. This is the guy here. He's a professional communist Antifa agitator who professionally gets pepper sprayed in the face while wearing clerical shirts for photo ops. He's done this several times already. Do we know anything about this guy as to whether or not he's really a member?
He's really affiliated with the. He's really affiliated with the church. The problem is the church is not a real church. It's a church that was co-opted and took over by Saul Alinsky in the 1950s, and part of his Woodlawn project, and all the actual. I have the.
You have that?
I have it. Yeah, you can.
You want to share the link with me for that?
Yeah, it's right. It's the one that says first the www church Chicago First Church.org. It's their website.
Oh, okay.
And you go to.
Let's learn about this guy. Well, before we do that, actually, let's get more video of this guy. This is not today. This is actually like I found out a month ago, but.
They got him right in the top of the head.
Yeah. So now when you see this like this, it looks like really, they look like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to this guy? What's he doing that he's out of context? This is something that makes ICE look careless, insensitive, heartless, shooting at a priest. And it doesn't, it has a graphic type of nature to it. Even
he
though
was screaming expletives.
Balls.
He was screaming expletives at them when it happened.
It's not simply that. He was also
on their property.
Out.
Yeah.
He was this is what Gavin Newsom's office sent out when he said, "Blessed are the peace," to retweeting "Blessed are the peacemakers." But if you actually look at this video, what you learn is he's a fake priest who shows up over and over again to generate headlines. And that incident, you idiot Newsom, he's not a priest. His name is David Black, a Presbyterian minister certified straight from the crackerjack box. He only wears priest garb at protests for photo ops and uses his ministry as a mask in his quest for the spotlight and settlements, as proven by his appearance at any and every protest and utilization of the ACLU. This priest, as I incorrectly call him, attends every protest, deliberately provoking law enforcement. They repeatedly warned him and other protesters to stop blocking exits and trespassing on federal property. He's a lot of things: a provocateur, instigator, con artist, activist, and all-around a-hole. But the three things this guy definitely is not is a priest, an honest person, nor a victim. Well said. Well said indeed. Yeah. So also, if you look at the community notes on this thing that Newsom shared out, others were blocking an ICE vehicle from leaving the federal facility, impeding lawful operations. So there's that problem too. I think that's from his own words, because this is Pastor Black. Reverend David Black is an ordained teaching elder of the Presbyterian Church USA, began pastoring First Church in 2020, spiritually rooted in Quakerism, grew up in a diverse array of Protestant and evangelical churches around the world, graduated from Princeton Theological Seminary in 2018, Master in Divinity, Master of Arts in Christian Education and Formation with focus on ministry with young people, and a certificate of Black Church Studies. Pastor Black, so they're claiming that he's a legit pastor. Pastor Black is called to serve at the edges of the church, where people are discovering faith, where the church is engaging with its community. As one writer puts it, to be an insider who stands near the door. His ministry has been focused on empowering individuals and communities who've been marginalized and dispossessed. He lives in Southside Chicago neighborhood of Woodlawn with his gregarious husky Bella and several plants which are doing surprisingly well. Isn't he clever? So
I'm telling you, all right, it's not a real church.
you're telling me it's not a real church?
It's not the real church. All
Not
right?
the real church. That's what I'm hearing from my I'm not the one saying. That's what Jim's saying. Jim's saying it's not a real church.
Hey, go if you go down, all right, look at click on Adrian Curry's link.
Adrian Curry. Got it.
Pull that one up. I don't know. We didn't look at this, did we? And then click on the pictures, and then you can pull up the actual church. I mean, I was commenting on screenshots of the church's own website. So
Adrian Curry says this fake pastor is an Antifa terrorist who practices witchcraft in his church. LOL. He was bullying ICE agents, attempting to hold them hostage and block their cars. Go back to Lucifer and your tarot cards.
we'll go through the pictures. So
Yeah, we'll do
that
that. Look, apparently he's giving me a Nazi salute here.
Yeah, that's what the Black Lives Matter. Now that's from the church, tarot readings and the First
Tarot
Presbyterian.
card play astounds at First Presbyterian.
That's not anything I've ever seen in any church or ever heard of.
That doesn't look very churchy to me.
No.
Of all the things that seem churchy, this doesn't qualify to me.
Mm-hmm.
A spiritual home for all troublemakers, misfits, and mystics. Sunday morning.
Church isn't big on mystics.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing what you're saying. He ain't really.
And then if you pull up the one that's ChicagoFirstChurch.org history.
Yep, I'll pull that up in a moment. Let me get that out. Here we go. The history of our church, a 15-minute read.
Yeah, we're not going to read 15 minutes. I'm going to take you right to go all the way down, scroll down to where, because it says they were for all this stuff. They were, if you go look, it says, oh, we were a frontier church and all this stuff. And then through crisis, all these different periods. But you want to go to the one where it keeps going, keep going. Right there, return to radicalism. Click on this one and read it.
Okay. Yikes. Sorry, it jumped down on me when I return to radicalism. In 1956, 3 years after accepting its first black member, First Church called an interracial team of co-pastors, Ulysses B. Blakely and Charles T. Lieber, known to the community as Buck and Chuck. Community morale was low. Investors had abandoned the neighborhood. Many believed it was inevitable that Woodlawn would be bulldozed to make way for the expansion of the University of Chicago. Blakely and Lieber collaborated with other local clergy to organize the community for action. They invited Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky wrote the 13 Rules for Radicals. He's a crazy leftist. They invited Saul Alinsky and his Industrial Area Foundation into the community with generous grants from the Presbyterian of Chicago and Roman Catholic Foundation. Alinsky launched the temporary Woodlawn organization in 1960. Alinsky frequently led community meetings at First Church, which made the church a target of bitter controversy. You think? Many members left the protests, stating that such an overtly political move was outside the church's proper sphere of activity. The University of Chicago's publication Maroon blared, "Church supports hate group," and the Christian Century magazine branded the project as a Catholic conspiracy to maintain a segregated neighborhood. Blakely and Lieber remain committed to their approach in the face of this opposition. The Woodlawn organization still exists today, and it has been an important base for organizing and mobilizing the power of Woodlawn residents. First Church remained on the front lines of community action after Blakely and Lieber left. Harold Walker, an interim pastor, wrote, quote, "As in the past, First Church had again found her place in the midst of the struggle for human dignity and the heart of the city's life." So there you go.
Yeah, so the Woodlawn organization, which is basically, there's a whole thing too. There's also, like, I pulled up stuff from basically explaining what the Woodlawn industry, what it was, and the monies, where they came from with the Peastone Rangers and the, like the gangs and the different, the church's new roots.
The new roots. I know what current is 1833 to 1860. What the hell does that mean? How's that?
No, they're trying to because this was a church that basically was defunct. Chicago was a town, has been a town where neighborhood lines are always shifting and people are moving in and out. And there's pockets and stuff. And basically the term white flight is very real in Chicago and has been, to where neighborhoods would move. So at one point in the 40s, where this church was all white, is the best way I can put it.
Okay.
And then it started changing, and as it changed, people left. The people that used to go to the church stopped going to the church. It was going to get bulldozed. Alinsky came in, and they turned this church into basically a propaganda arm for communism.
Big surprise. Big surprise that Saul Alinsky was involved with something that was a propaganda arm for communism.
I mean, he was a communist. I mean, that's what he did.
Yeah. Allegan says the only way of serving government is to be part of the military. Nothing bad can happen with that idea. We all served under General Milley, so what can go wrong? I think that your odd the numbers of people who will actually be based is far higher if our pool comes from the military. So obviously there's going to be there's some people who serve in the military who suck. I think Adam Kinzinger served in the military. It's not like it's. You tell me that the pool of people we have in
Alexander Vindman
wouldn't it be much better?
Eugene
Vindman. Yeah,
Vindman's
you give me lots of examples of people who suck who served in the military. But Princeton theology, that right there disqualifies him from being a priest. He also lives in Woodlawn. If he actually wanted to be a true fighter for the people, he'd be living in the South Side. That's probably true too. I'm done if you keep talking about the past. We're not talking about. What does that mean? We're not talking about the past. What is that?
We can't talk about the future. We can't see the future.
We struggle with the future. Although I'm about to do that because I'm going to deem us as if we've hit our goal. So I want to get in on this whole my thoughts. I put up for the goal. I'm gonna say that we reached our goal. I'll even say right now, goal. Okay, we hit our goal. Okay. So we're good. I mentioned for my goal that I was going to talk about my thoughts about this peace deal. Allegan News asked me whether I changed my position. I'll bring this up here. He brought this up a while ago here, where he was asking, did I change my position about that the objective of Israel in going into Gaza was to free the hostages? My answer to that is no. My position has not changed at all. When it comes to issues of this sort of nature, I will tell you that, like most serious issues, Torah has already provided an answer to this. Torah is giving guidance as to what you should do when you have an offer of a hostage exchange. This is not something that is is confusing. It's something that if you actually look to Torah, the Israeli government looked to Torah, they said, what does Torah say? Should we do this deal or not? You'll actually find that this is not a deal. The most rabbinic authorities say today this is not a deal that Torah would sanction. Now, I'm not speaking as a rabbinic authority. I'm not a rabbinic authority. I have no.
You are here.
I'm here. I'm practicing.
You're here right now. You are the.
I guess I am the closest thing to rabbinic authority. Yeah. My understanding and the reason I have a problem with this is there are express laws. This is not the first time in human history that there have been people who have been taken captive and that there have been offers of exchange. This is something that goes back thousands of years. People have been taken captive all the time. Torah actually addresses a situation of what you're allowed to do and the idea of saving people who are being held hostage, being held captive, is considered a very noble endeavor and something that is the utmost importance and worth sacrificing your life for to try and save someone. It's a very, very treasured and valued and noble endeavor. That being the case, and in no way diminishing that. Quite the contrary. Because why is it that we have that? We take that position. It's because we look at every human life as being precious and dear. We have a very, very, very high regard for the value of human life. In fact, I actually frequently have said on this show, and I will invariably say many times again in the future, that one of the biggest failings of humankind today is that we have too cheap an appreciation for the value of human life. Human life is very, very precious. And if we valued it more, if we valued it appropriately, we would not do many of the things that we do. We would not cheapen ourselves in the ways that we cheapen ourselves. We would not cheapen others in the way that we cheapen others. We would actually be far more moral people if we appreciated the sanctity and dignity of human life. If you have questions, you can.
I was gonna say, like, I wanted to say that my problem with the deal per se is only that we're giving, not we, I shouldn't say we, they're giving away criminals, murderers, and people that committed crimes against not only Jewish people, but also anybody that's a citizen of Israel. Also, there's Palestinians and there's other Arabs that are citizens of Israel, along with Jews and along with Christians and other people that these people committed crimes against, and they're in prison, and they're getting them released for people that are actual hostages.
Yeah.
And I don't see how you're doing anything except for incentivizing other people to take hostages then to get people out of prison or other things by doing this. I mean, we, for the longest time, were told we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yep.
But I guess we do. Because Obama did it, Biden did it. I mean, and now Trump's doing it.
Yep. Under Jewish law, you are prohibited from paying too high of a price for hostages for precisely the reasons that Jim just expressed. That you are incentivizing further capture of other hostages in the future if you overpay to recover hostages. So while I said I'm all for Israel going in there and doing everything possible to try and rescue the hostages and taking whatever steps were necessary in that endeavor, the idea of giving 2,000 criminals, 250 of which were serving like life sentences. These are the terrible, terribly murderous, awful human beings who have undoubtedly, they've not rehabilitated, will undoubtedly return and have, you know, if not recidivism, it's only because we didn't catch them. But there's little doubt that they will, these are exactly probably many of whom were actually involved in October 7th itself. I'd be surprised if there weren't many of them who were involved on October 7th. So you're talking about basically giving murderous people, hundreds of them, for 20 people, not hundreds, 2,000, a rate of 100 for every Jewish life. And while I will tell you, and I'm not even sure that all 20 of the Jews are still alive, or 20 of the captives, I'm not sure if they're all Jewish. I assume that they're all Jewish, but I'm not sure if all 20 of the captives are even still alive. And while one can look at it and say, wow, that's quite a big honor to say that one Jewish life is worth 100 Muslim lives. That's very nice. That's very nice. But the reality of the situation here is that's insane. That's crazy. And how are you not incentivizing more hostages being taken? And this is why Torah has prohibited overpaying in either financially or in exchange of prisoners by a drastic degree. To some degree, there could be some level of overpayment. When you're talking about 100 crazy criminal and for every captive, they're giving back 10 people who are supposed to be serving a life sentence plus 90 others who are also criminals. 10 crazy. So for every one person you're giving back to Hamas 10 lunatic people plus 90 other criminals. And then we're going to do that again and again and again and again 20 times. That's insane. Now, I understand that Bibi Netanyahu is under pressure from President Trump, and frankly, I don't really like what Trump did I think that this is a level of interceding that I think was really unfair of America to sort of twist Israel into this position where they basically were felt compelled to do this, and perhaps the political elements to it would change the calculus from a Torah perspective as to whether or not the state of Israel should be allowed to do this. But if you would remove the Trump element to this and the fact that Trump wants this deal to get done, I'll tell you right now, I'd be shocked if Torah would sanction this deal. And if it's a deal that's against Torah, you say to yourself, they probably knew better than we do. So if you ask me how I feel about this deal, it makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick to my stomach that these people have been there for 2 years and enduring tortures that we couldn't even imagine enduring for 10 minutes. And having to endure that for 2 years in the hands of these animals who raped, murdered, and pillaged and killed how many people? Having to live in that environment and the psychological torture that we see, some of them having to dig their own graves, some of the horrors that were visited upon the ones that we've seen. Just the immense horrors that were visited upon these people. And now, so I feel tremendous sorrow and I can't say empathy, because I've never, thank God, I've never been in a situation of knowing someone who is a captive, much less being in that position or having a close family friend or relative, God forbid, ever being in that type of scenario. So I in no way can I express empathy, because I've been blessed by and protected by God. But the sympathy I certainly can express and try and even imagine the horrors for everyone who's related to that sort of captivity scenario. I'm simply saying that what you are doing is you are basically making it very incredibly attractive to bad actors to engage in this conduct over and over and over again because they're being rewarded so richly. It is such a rich reward that they are getting that it seems almost suicidal. Like you would think that they'd be crazy not to do it. Why would they not do it? They'd be crazy not to try it again.
I would think everyone says how Israel's just been laying waste to them and just demolishing and killing everyone, and it's just been indiscriminate, and they're just helpless. Then why wouldn't they just give the people back and say, stop bombing us?
Yeah. If it was that bad, they would have done that a long time ago. Because I've talked about this scenario ad nauseum about like how to Hamas leadership, the Arab blood is very cheap. Israel blood is Jewish blood is obviously preferable, but Arab blood is very cheap. This has been a war of propaganda that the entire objective is to get propaganda. They have won this. This is a complete and total capitulation. They basically won in the eyes of the world, that they've improved their standing in the eyes of the world, in the eyes of foreign nations, in the eyes of lunatic leftists, and now they're winning with respect to getting 100 lunatics for every captive that's still remaining there.
And
so this
another
is
point of the deal that I'm not happy with.
This is the final nail in a debacle.
Is that U.S. troops are going to be going there to help do what exactly?
I don't want U.S. troops there.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want U.S. money there. I don't want U.S. troops there. I don't want U.S. involved in this at all. I don't want them there at all. I don't want anything having to, I don't want that at all. Yeah. I was just let them do what they had to do. Everyone kept reassuring me, telling me that, like, well, Hamas will never take the deal. Well, Hamas got enough pressure from the other powers that were funding them that they were like, yeah, we'll take that deal. And this is just—it's
a sweet deal for them. They
get
2,000 people back for 20.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. So yeah, this was a terrible deal. And this is, and I can be happy for the 20 people, but that doesn't mean it's not a horrible deal. Which Torah itself says is a terrible thing you shouldn't do.
I mean, sometimes there's no move to make.
Short of keep going.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to go. The right move is do nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Anyway, so that's my thoughts on this peace deal. It makes me sick to my stomach. Anyway, let me. I
mean, I thought this thing that Obama did when he gave up, what was it, 8 Taliban leaders for Pro Bergdahl? I was like, what are you doing? This is nuts, in my opinion. That's way too many people.
Yeah. And invariably it always is. Every time it's like
It gets more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark Elias has been on the air on MSNBC. He's scared he's next. He should be. Sent his MSNBC video via DM. I did not ask if he changed position. I asked if Israel changed their position. Oh, okay. Well, I was clarifying in case you were asking about me. I think Israel probably felt as if Trump was changing their minds on that, because at the end of the day, he's the one person they don't want to tick off. So, Kylo Ren was a U.S. Marine. Kylo was the most woke Lord in the history of the dark side of the Force. Fair enough. I don't look in the mirror. Where are we now? He's saying don't look backwards. If I'm done, if you keep talking about the past, if you have to learn from the past.
Yeah, if you don't, the past will repeat itself.
It's not against the law to take Jewish hostages. Well, in this case, it's not. They're not hostages. They were people who were criminals who were found guilty. I would say Israel is losing the propaganda war. If they lost, they've been losing the war for well over a year. They've been losing the war for close to 2 years. They did a crap job, and this is consequences of it. They always do a crap job. They always do.
It's the same thing. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's the same thing like with this priest dude and these people, these protesters that go there to just get these things. The same thing is happening over there, but it's on a grander scale. And they've got, I mean, we saw the pictures of the guy that's the paramedic, and he's this, and there's 50 different pictures of the same guy. All these different things happen, and it's like, what's going on here? We're being played.
I ever show you the Pallywood account on X?
No. Oh, Pallywood. No. I know it's like Palestinian Hollywood or whatever with the guy. It's like the same guys in everything.
But Pallywood is an account I follow on X, and he is great at finding these things. This is his account here. Gazawood, the Pallywood saga, right? So he exposes so much of the here they are celebrating their great victory, hanging up Klava. They basically kept through the entire, because they were starving the entire time. This is them celebrating. All of a sudden, the shops are all open. The food is back in abundance. Such miracles, because they were starving. Remember, they were starving to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all starving to death. Such crap. Look at this, starving to death. This guy. His fat slobs. He was very good. I mean, he's got so many different posts about, like, basically exposing, like, how, like, you know, like little kids who, like, you know, you see, like, that they're, you know, all like bloodied, and like then like they sit up and they're giggling, and they lay back down like they're dead. And like he has if you go through his he has one video after another showing how much is staged, or how the same actors in one video after another. I mean, I've shown it in the past.
I saw the one that really made me when I was like, oh, these people are full of, when they had the kid, we were like, oh, look, this kid is starving. And then you see the kid's brother, and it's like, wait, what? And then it's like, no, that kid, here's a story from 5 years ago talking about how the kid is sick with this disease. And
yeah. But it was like a daily thing. So
فلان الفلاني لهذا الطفل. تفضل.
This is a Gazan explaining how donations work in Gaza.
جاهدوا بأموالكم كما أخونا فلان الفلاني جاهد بأمواله، وهذا تبرع كريم من أخونا فلان الفلاني لهذا الطفل. تفضل يا عم. طفيت الكاميرا؟ طفيت الكاميرا؟ هات. يلا روح.
بدل 200.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذا الواقع الذي نعيشه. تحياتي. جاهدوا بأموالكم.
The whole thing, such scam artists. The entire thing, it was just. And that's not to say people didn't die. Obviously, people died. But there was so much. It was, the entire objective was just for the purposes of having propaganda. What is your alternative plan? What would you have done if you were in their shoes? What kind of war game are you doing? Are you doing militarily? Give us 2 workable plans with considerations of geopolitical and military.
I don't know. I mean, there is no good answer. You know, there's no like, oh, this is the perfect plan. This is definitely going to work. I mean, no matter what, if you sent in like special forces people in there, you're going to lose a lot of people and you're going to kill a lot of people to get the hostages back.
No, what I'm saying is this. This is going to sound very cold. You're better off walking away and saying we're done and leaving 20 hostages than giving back 2,000 people. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. It's a horrible thing to have to say. It's a horrible thing to have to say. You were better off basically saying you wanted 2,000 people. We were going to execute those 2,000 people. Go to keep your 20 people. Goodbye. That you're better off doing that.
I thought that's where they were going with it because I remember like a month ago I saw a story that said that they were doing something in the Knesset where they wanted to pass a law saying that they could execute these people.
Yeah, that's what your bet. That's your bet. And you're worried about the world's going to say. Stop worrying about what the world's going to say. The world's saying all the horrible things they're going to say anyway. They stop worrying about that. You're better off with that. You're better off with that than giving away 20 for 2,000, giving away 101 to ratio.
How many of those people are still alive? Even do we know?
Yeah,
Does
you
anyone
probably,
know?
probably end up getting 18 corpses and 2. And if you'd be lucky if 2 of them are alive. Probably end up getting 20 corpses and giving back 2,000 live people. That's what they should say. For every one of that, we're going to kill 100 people for every one of them. There's 20 people that are dead. Israel's delayed response after October 7 was their downfall. CNN polling shows significant public shift. Should have been much more aggressive in the early days.
If they would have went hard and fast right after it happened,
shock and awe,
like right through with a couple days, they probably would have.
If Jews control media, why they lose propaganda war? Maybe people need to reconsider takes on Jews control everything. Yeah, well, that's good. You're asking good questions. Good questions. I know the past. No need to stare in the mirror. I can't control the past, but I can change the future. I don't want to think about the past. Plan the future. You have to plan the future while thinking about the past. And learn from the past. Learn from the mistakes of the past. Anyway, it's time for me to land my plane. Where can people find you, Jim?
They can find me at Jim Tells You on YouTube, Rumble.
Give me your links, by the way.
All right.
They can find you at Jim Tell You on X. They can find you on Jim Tells You on YouTube
That's right
and Rumble.
On X at Jim Tells You on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Twitch and Kick now at Jim Tells You, but I don't know if that's
God. This man is spread so thin. I don't know how anyone can find you.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to get more people, but it's not. I don't know. I'm thinking Kick and Twitch seem kind of scammy.
Perhaps. I think a large part of it is that the tunnels were such a difficult animal to navigate. It was such a difficult thing. Like just
that's why we have the diggers to navigate the tunnels.
Yeah. But, I mean, all kidding aside, it was. I think it created obstacles that were just logistically too difficult to overcome. Joe, I will agree with you. It's crazy, but Israel has done in the past when they traded 1,027 Hamas people for Gilad Shalit. Yeah, and that's why you set the standard. You set these standards. That was a mistake, also. You can't do it. You can't do it. You sort of have to say, we're cutting our losses. You don't, because you're just making more losses tomorrow. See, this is 20. The point is not that I don't feel for those 20 people. Of course I feel for those 20 people. I was just expressing to you that I don't have capacity to feel enough for them. Of course I feel terrible for those 20 people. No one should get that crooked. My point is that these 20 people, God forbid, can end up costing you 1,000 people 3 months from now. You sort of have to look at the reality of the situation. To be like Hillary Clinton in Libya, but allow them to take care of it. Yeah, well. We almost finished tunnel to your sister's house, but delayed to the Jersey. You're funny, brother. All right. Well, I'm going to urge you guys, make sure that you check out Jim Tells You, because the dude is awesome and he's great. And I love having him hang out with me here.
You can see Bella. See? You can see Bella on my channel.
Right? You could. That's definitely something that for some people, that's a big part of the sell.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what they like, Bella. I don't know why.
Obviously, that's going to be a big thing. And yeah. This is
they pay me to see Bella. She doesn't dance for free.
So that's now saved over in my description, and I'm going to tell you all that I'm going to try and do a show this weekend, maybe 2, and we'll see about doing something on Monday also, because I'm trying to grab in shows where I can, because next week I'm still on holiday schedule. So I'm going to try and grab in shows. I thank you all for joining me.
We should try and talk to
Yes.
Bronco maybe and do something with him, collab with him during the day. He does shows during the day. I'm just saying it's a
thought. Yeah, it's a thought. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm going to remind you, lab meat is not meant for you. It never was meant for you. No, everyone knows this. It is not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. And do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't touch it. Don't have anything to do with it. It's just going to make you miserable. You're not going to be happy with it. You're going to be very miserable with the outcome. So yeah, just don't do that anymore. Have a good night, everyone. And as always, Godspeed.